You are scrolling, half paying attention, and it hits you one post at a time. Someone bought a house. Someone got engaged. Someone landed the job, took the trip, reached the milestone you have not yet reached. And by the time you put the phone down, you are left with a quiet, sinking conviction that everyone is somehow doing better than you. It happens at the reunion when everyone seems further along. It happens when an old friend's good news lands in your inbox. It happens on an ordinary evening for no clear reason, when you simply look at your life and feel like you have fallen behind everyone around you. But there is something deeply misleading about that feeling. And once you understand the mechanism behind it, most of its power quietly drains away. You are comparing yourself to a competitor who does not actually exist. And in a few minutes, I will show you exactly what this construct actually is. But here's the first thing worth understanding. When you feel like everyone is ahead of you, you are not measuring yourself against any real person. You have assembled an imaginary rival out of the single best thing you have seen from each of 100 different people, and then ask why you fall short of all of it at once. By the end of this video, you will have 4 concrete moves to break the comparison habit for good, or at least to stop letting it affect your ability to be happy with your own life. But first, you have to see clearly how the trigger works, because it is far more rigged than it seems. And it's worth saying plainly, this is one of the most common and most corrosive habits of the modern mind. Almost everyone does it, and almost no one talks about it, and it can quietly drain the satisfaction out of a genuinely good life. And here's the surprising part. The people you are envying are almost certainly envying someone too. The person whose life looks perfect from the outside is looking at someone else's and feeling exactly what you feel right now. Everyone is convinced that they are the one falling behind. Start with why you do this at all. Because it's not a personal weakness, but something built into human beings. In the 1950s, the psychologist Leon Festinger showed that we have a deep automatic drive to evaluate ourselves, to know where we stand, whether we are doing well or badly. The problem is that for most of the things that matter, whether you are successful enough, attractive enough, far enough along in life, there is no objective measure. There is no ruler for our life. So in the absence of one, Festinger found we reach for the only yardstick available, other people. We work out how we are doing by looking at how they are doing. For most of human history, that was a reasonable system. You compared yourself to a few dozen people in your village, most of them living lives much like yours, and you came away with a roughly accurate sense of where you stood. But that ancient system now runs inside a world it was never designed for. Instead of a few dozen neighbors, you are exposed to thousands of curated lives a week, each one showing you its best moments only. The comparison machinery is the same. The input has become impossible. Now to the invented rival I mentioned earlier. Picture how the comparison actually works, moment to moment. You see one person thriving in their career, and you feel behind on work. You see another in a joyful relationship, and you feel behind on love. A third is traveling. A fourth is very physically fit. And a fifth just bought a home. Without noticing, you take the single most impressive thing from each of them and stitch it together into one person. A rival with the best career, the best relationship, the best body, the best house, and the best holidays all at once. Then you measure your entire life against that assembled figure. And of course you come up short. Everyone would. That person does not exist. Not one of the individuals you drew from has all of those things. The person with the enviable career is quietly struggling in their marriage. The couple who seem perfect are worried about money. Each of them is a whole, complicated life with its own private difficulties. And each of them, looking around, feels behind on something too. There is a second layer to this. You are comparing your complete, unedited experience, every doubt, every dull day, every private setback, against the narrow highlight reel other people choose to show. You see their announcements. You live your whole process. You are matching your behind the scenes against everyone else's finished trailer. And then comes this third distortion, quieter than the others. When you feel behind in some area, money, say, or relationships, you begin to notice every sign of it around you. Suddenly, everyone seems to be buying homes or getting married, precisely because your attention has locked onto the thing you lack. The world has not changed. Your filter has. Suppose you ignore all of this and decide to win the comparison anyway, to catch up, to get ahead, to finally be the one who is doing better. It is worth understanding why that plan can never actually deliver peace. Some things are valued almost entirely by rank. Being wealthy, being successful, being ahead. These only mean anything relative to other people. And in any group, most people cannot be above average, by definition. A race defined by beating others is one that almost everyone has to lose. And even the winners only hold the position until someone new comes along. The philosopher Rousseau saw the root of this centuries ago. He distinguished two very different kinds of self-regard. One he called love of self, a natural care for your own genuine well-being, your health, your peace, the things that actually make your life good. The other he called amour propre, a self-worth built entirely on comparison, on standing above other people, on being esteemed as better than them. Rousseau's insight was that these two pull in opposite directions. When your sense of worth depends on ranking above others, you have handed the controls of your happiness to strangers. You can be healthy, secure, and loved, and still feel wretched, simply because someone else has more. As long as worth is measured by rank, there is no amount of success that ever settles the question. So if you cannot win this game, and you cannot easily stop playing it either, what is actually left? That is where this turns practical, and where the whole thing becomes something you can genuinely put down. Before we work through the fixes, it helps to see clearly what this habit actually takes from you, because naming the cost is part of what motivates you to stop. The first cost is your own achievements. You reach a goal you once dreamed of, and instead of enjoying it, you have already found someone further ahead. So the win evaporates before you have even felt it. The second cost is your direction. When you measure by other people, you start chasing their markers instead of your own. You pursue the house, the title, the life that impressed you in someone else's feed, and you can spend years working hard toward things you never actually wanted, only to feel hollow when you reach them. But there is one thing comparison can offer, if you handle it carefully. The envy you feel is information. When someone else's life produces a genuine pang in you, it can point to something you actually want. The skill is to separate real desire from mere ranking, the wish to simply be ahead. One is worth following. The other only ever leads back to the same trap. So here are the 4 moves to break the comparison habit and get your life back from it. The first move is to catch the rigged comparison in the moment it happens. When the feeling of falling behind appears, name what you're actually doing, matching your full, unedited life against someone's chosen highlight. Simply seeing the unfairness of that comparison clearly takes most of the sting out of it. The second move is to break the composite back into real people. When you feel behind everyone, remind yourself that everyone is not one person. Each individual you envied is a whole life with its own private struggles, and each of them feels behind on something you cannot see. There is no one who has it all. That rival was assembled in your own mind. The third move is to change your inputs, because comparison is fed by what you consume. If a particular feed or account, or even a particular person reliably leaves you feeling smaller, that is not something you simply have to endure. It is an input you are allowed to reduce. You have far more control over what you expose yourself to than you tend to assume. And the fourth move is the one that has the biggest effect. Replace ranking with your own measure. Rousseau's alternative was to stop asking whether you are ahead of others and start asking whether you are moving toward what genuinely matters to you. Compare yourself to who you were a year ago, not a stranger's highlight. Measured against your own past and your own real values, you can always be making progress, and no one else's life can take that from you. If you step back from this issue, the whole thing becomes more clear. You feel like everyone is doing better than you because you have built a rival who does not exist. An impossible composite of everyone's best moments, and set your unedited life against their curated highlights. The comparison was rigged from the start. And even if you could win it, the game has no finish line. Because worth measured by rank is never settled. This problem loosens its hold on you the moment you see the issue clearly. Break the imaginary rival back into real and struggling people, and turn your attention from where you rank to whether you are actually moving toward the life you want. The truth is that you are not behind. There is no line everyone else is standing further along. There is only your own life, moving at its own pace, and the single honest question worth asking. Not whether you are ahead of anyone, but whether you are becoming someone you respect. If this video gave you a way to put the comparison down, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know the moment each new episode appears out of the blue.